Principles Show daily podcast by and for you.
Okay, so picture this. You're scrolling through the news, right? And bam, headlines like, China discovers mountain of iron. And you're probably thinking, yeah, next. But hold on a sec. What if this isn't just any iron? What if it's like the high-grade, ready-to-go ore, the kind that could like totally shake up the global market? That's what we're digging into today. We got this really interesting article from the BRICS joint website. It breaks down this whole discovery. And honestly, it reads kind of like an economic thriller, you know, power shifts, tech advancements, maybe even some international intrigue.
You know, what I find fascinating about this is how it highlights the interconnectedness of everything. It's not just about China finding some rocks. This has the potential to impact everything. I mean, the price of steel, global power dynamics even, it's huge.
It's like finding a winning lottery ticket, but instead of cash, it's like the building block of the modern world, right?
Okay.
And the BRICS article, it really dives into the nitty-gritty. Researchers over in China's Shandong province, they just stumbled on this massive, and I mean massive, high-grade iron ore deposit. We're talking a colossal 104 million tons. I mean, just to give you a sense of scale, that's enough iron to build the Eiffel Tower over 1,200 times.
And that high-grade part, and that's not just a buzzword, high-grade ore, it needs way less processing to become steel, which means it's cheaper and, just as importantly these days, greener to use. So it's not just about how much iron they found, but the quality of it. That's what gives China a real advantage here.
Okay, so we've established this is a big deal, but let's connect the dots a little. For our listeners who, maybe don't have steel market charts on their fridge, China, they're already the world's biggest steel producer, right? Correct. But they rely a lot on imports. So could this discovery be like the key to changing that whole dynamic?
It's definitely possible. This has the potential to be a real game changer in terms of their self-sufficiency. Imagine more control over their steel production costs. That has a ripple effect on everything. Think about their infrastructure projects like that Belt and Road Initiative, manufacturing, even their domestic construction. It's huge.
It's like they've been playing a massive game of economic chess, and suddenly they've found a way to checkmate everyone in one move. But what about the rest of the world? I mean, China's a big player, sure, but they're not the only ones at the iron ore table, are they?
Right, and that's where things get really interesting. Right now, Australia and Brazil, they're the big players when it comes to iron ore exports. So with this discovery, could we see the balance of power shift? Could China, with their newfound potential for self-sufficiency, become a major exporter themselves? And if that happens, what happens to global prices? It has the potential to reshape the entire iron ore market.
The article actually mentioned that iron ore has been one of the worst performing commodities this year. Could this be the plot twist that flips the script?
It's definitely possible. And it's not just about who digs up the most iron ore either. This has geopolitical implications too. Will Australia or Brazil try to, counter China's advantage somehow? Could this lead to new trade agreements or maybe even trade tensions? It's a fascinating scenario to unpack, that's for sure.
It's kind of ironic when you think about it. We always hear about resource scarcity causing conflict and tension, right? But what about resource abundance? Could this discovery, even if unintentionally, spark a whole new wave of competition, even tension on the global stage?
It's a really interesting question, actually. Imagine the pressure on countries that right now really depend on those iron ore exports to China. This discovery could force them to rethink their whole economic strategy, maybe even push them towards new alliances, or even just to diversify what they're relying on resource-wise.
So it's not even just about the rocks themselves, right? It's how this could totally rewrite the playbook for entire nations.
Yeah.
Talk about high stakes.
Absolutely. And let's not forget about the impact this could have on technological innovation, too. China, with, all their manufacturing power and now this new access to iron ore, they've got a big incentive to invest in developing new technologies, more efficient mining, more cost-effective processing, maybe even, dare I say it, environmentally friendly techniques.
It's like giving a master chef a brand new kitchen, right? The best equipment, all the latest gadgets. We could see some serious culinary, technological, masterpieces come out of this.
Exactly. And here's where it gets even more interesting. What if those advancements, the ones driven by China's desire to really capitalize on this discovery, what if they end up influencing the entire industry, on a global scale? Could this, in a roundabout way, even lead to a cleaner, more sustainable steel industry for everyone?
Now, that would be a silver lining, wouldn't it? It was just mind-blowing to think that something that starts as this local discovery could have these massive ripple effects, positive ones even.
Right. And it brings up another important part of this whole story, the impact on Shandong province itself. I mean, we're potentially talking about a huge surge in jobs, tons of investment pouring in. They'll need new infrastructure, support for all the mining operations, the whole 9 yards. This discovery could be a real economic boom for that region.
Like stumbling on a gold mine, but instead of gold, it's, well, the metal that builds the world, right? But we've talked a lot about the global side, the economics, even the tech stuff. What about the people?
Oh, that's such a crucial point. It's easy to get caught up in the numbers, the global trends, but we can't forget that this is going to impact real people's lives. For some people, this could be life-changing, you know? New jobs, opportunities they never would have had otherwise. For others, it might mean big changes to their communities, their environment.
Yeah, it really makes you think, behind all the headlines and the global economics, there are actual people whose lives are going to be changed by this.
Absolutely. It's a good reminder that even in our interconnected world, these kinds of discoveries have a very real human side to them.
It really does. And speaking of interconnectedness, it gets you thinking, if this one discovery, just this one, can have these massive ripple effects, I mean, what else is out there? What other, hidden treasures or potential game changers are just waiting to be, I don't know, dug up or discovered?
That's the thing about discovery, right? It's full of surprises. And in a world that often feels defined by, well, scarcity competition, this abundance of iron ore, it's a real opportunity. For China, yeah, but potentially for everyone.
For sure. But hey, let's bring it back to our listeners for a second. We've covered a ton of ground here. Global economics, geopolitics, even the potential for, conflict and collaboration. If you had to pick one key takeaway, what would you want them to walk away with today?
That's a tough one. But I think if there's one big lesson here, it's that it's all connected, This iron ore discovery. It might seem like it's a world away for some people, but it really does have the potential to impact all of us, whether it's through shifts in the global market, new technologies, or even just making us rethink where the stuff we use every day actually comes from.
It's like a reminder that sometimes, literally, the ground beneath our feet holds the key to understanding, like the big forces shaping our world. So yeah, next time you see a headline about some new discovery, some big find, don't just scroll past, take a second. Think about the ripple effects, the potential consequences. Because in a world as interconnected as ours, what happens on one side of the planet can have a surprising impact on all of us.